Quick question. When's the last time you actually memorized a phone number? Not saved it, memorized it. Now try this one. When's the last time you wrote something without opening an AI chat first? If you're struggling to answer either of those, you're not alone. Researchers at MIT recently scanned people's brains while they wrote essays. Some used AI, some used a search engine, some used only their own brain. The AI group showed the weakest brain activity of the three by a wide margin. Tonight, we're asking the uncomfortable question, is AI quietly making us dumber? And the answer is more interesting and more useful than a simple yes or no. Let's start with a term you need to know, cognitive offloading. It just means handing a mental task off to something outside your own brain. Humans have done this forever. A shopping list, a calendar, a calculator, all cognitive offloading, and mostly harmless. Your brain doesn't need to hold every appointment in memory when a calendar can do it instead. That frees up mental space for things that actually matter. This isn't actually a brand new debate either. Back in 2011, researchers found something they called the Google effect. People who knew information would be saved online remembered where to find it, not the information itself. Search engines already changed what our brains bothered to hold on to. AI just takes that same pattern and applies it to something much deeper than facts. So what's different about AI? Calculators took arithmetic off our plate. AI takes something much bigger, reasoning, synthesis, analysis, argument construction, and those aren't just simple tasks. They're the exact mental exercises that build higher-order thinking in the first place. A calculator never taught you to reason. Writing an essay or working through a hard problem actually builds that skill every time you do it. When AI does that step for you, the output looks great, but the thinking muscle underneath it never actually gets the workout. There's another effect worth knowing about, beyond just memory and reasoning. Researchers have started studying what they call the homogenizing effect of AI on human thought. When millions of people lean on the same AI models for ideas and wording, individual thinking can start to quietly converge, sounding more similar and more predictable over time. It's not just about getting dumber. It's about getting less distinctly yourself. Let's go back to that MIT study, because the details matter. Researchers had participants write essays 3 different ways, using AI, a search engine, or their own brain. They monitored brain activity the entire time. The AI group showed the weakest neural connectivity of the 3 groups, meaning less of their brain was actively engaged while they worked. The essays didn't necessarily look worse on the surface, but underneath, something important was clearly different. A separate study of over 600 people found something just as striking. Frequent AI users scored significantly lower on critical thinking assessments than infrequent users. And the effect wasn't spread evenly across every age group. People between 17 and 25 showed the highest AI dependence and the lowest scores. People over 46 actually showed the opposite pattern, more critical thinking, less reliance on AI. Researchers think they know why. Older adults built their reasoning skills the hard way for years before AI ever existed. They have something to fall back on. Younger users are outsourcing the thinking before they ever fully learn how to do it themselves. As one researcher put it, you can't weaken a muscle that was never built in the first place. There's a specific reason this concerns researchers most for younger users. AI tends to offload the exact skills of synthesizing, evaluating, and judging. Those skills are exactly what the human prefrontal cortex is still building, all the way into someone's mid-20s. When that substitution happens during active brain development, the consequences may last far longer than one semester. It's less like skipping one workout, and more like never building the muscle to begin with. This isn't just an abstract worry about students, either. A recent report found that 62% of middle school, high school, and college students use AI for homework. That's up sharply from less than half, just 7 months earlier. Here's the part that should really catch your attention. 67% of those same students believe heavy AI use is actively harming their own critical thinking. They're not confused about the trade-off. They're making it anyway, because it's easier, right now, in the moment. And this doesn't stop mattering once you leave school, either. One study followed clinicians using AI to help detect tumors in medical scans. After just 3 months of relying on the AI, their own detection ability dropped by 6%. A skilled professional quietly losing part of a skill simply by leaning on a tool that helped. That's not a hypothetical risk. That's a measured, published drop in a trained professional's own ability. A separate controlled study measured this same effect in a very concrete way. Researchers tracked what people actually remembered 45 days after learning something new. Learners who used AI assistants retained about 11 percentage points less than those who didn't. The information felt learned in the moment. It just didn't stick nearly as well over time. Even national security experts are now debating this. Some worry that if AI degrades critical thinking in analysts, efficiency might be making everyone less safe. Take a second and think about your own week. How many decisions, big or small, did you actually reason through yourself, start to finish? And how many did you just ask an AI and go with whatever it said? There's no wrong answer here, just notice the pattern. Now, before this turns into a full AI panic, here's the important nuance. Researchers keep landing on the same conclusion. It's not really about whether you use AI, it's about how. Passive use, just asking for the final answer, correlates with the biggest drops in critical thinking. Active use, asking AI to explain multiple approaches, doesn't show the same damage. One researcher compared it to the difference between a crutch and a bicycle. A crutch replaces the muscle. A bicycle just makes a working muscle faster. Here's an encouraging finding buried in the same research, though. When AI is set up to act like a tutor, offering hints instead of direct answers, skill sticks around. The difference isn't the AI itself. It's whether the tool is designed and used to make you think harder or to think for you. Researchers have also identified a few things that protect people from the worst effects. Higher education and real domain expertise seem to buffer against it. People who already know a subject well apply more scrutiny to what AI tells them. Confidence in your own knowledge matters just as much as the knowledge itself. And deliberately choosing when to think for yourself seems to preserve the skill over time. In other words, the muscle stays strong if you still choose to use it sometimes. So what does that actually look like day to day? First, try the first draft yourself before you ever open an AI tool. Even a rough, messy attempt keeps the reasoning muscle engaged. Second, ask AI for multiple approaches, not a single final answer. It keeps you the one making the actual decision. Third, occasionally do the hard thing manually, on purpose, on principle. And fourth, pay attention to whether you could explain your own conclusion without the AI in the room. If you can't, that's worth noticing. Fifth, try teaching the idea to someone else, out loud, in your own words, without notes. If you can't explain it simply, you probably outsourced more thinking than you realized. Here's a small experiment you can try right after this video. Next time you have a question, wait 10 seconds and try answering it yourself first. Then check your answer against AI. That 10-second pause alone forces your brain to attempt the reasoning before it outsources it. So, is AI making us dumber? The honest answer is, it can, but it doesn't have to. The tasks AI is best at offloading happen to be the exact tasks that build thinking in the first place. That's not a reason to avoid it. It's a reason to stay a little more intentional about when you pick up the tool. And when you put in the rep yourself instead. Your brain, like any muscle, gets stronger from resistance, not from never lifting anything at all. Looking back across this whole series, there's actually one thread running through all of it. Psychophancy, loneliness, psychosis, kids, and now this, they're all versions of the same basic trade-off. A tool built to make things easier, and a brain that only grows stronger through effort. Ease isn't the enemy, but it's worth noticing when ease quietly starts costing you a skill you wanted to keep. If this made you rethink how you've been using AI lately, that's exactly why I make this channel. I break down the psychology behind the technology, quietly shaping how we think, feel, and connect. So if you want more of this, go ahead and hit subscribe. This actually wraps up our whole series on AI and the human mind. If you missed any of the earlier videos, Go check the playlist. Drop a comment and tell me, honestly, when's the last time you solved something hard without any AI help? Say it in the comments, even if the answer is embarrassing. Mine probably would be too. I read every single one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.